Left. What were we talking about?
Yeah, we're going to pick this up with the Cavs discussion. We are back, and if anyone sent us a super chat earlier, it has been erased because it crashed, so we sincerely apologize. We're not going to have a chance to read those. But let's start with the Cavs discussion. As we were talking about earlier, guys, the Cavs have the 20th pick in the NBA draft, which is coming up in less than 3 weeks, and Chris Fedor of Cleveland.com, their Cavaliers beat reporter, reported that they're bringing in players from all different positions, doing their due diligence on guys to possibly draft at number 20. That includes point guards like Isaiah Collier from USC, to wings like Tristan Da Silva from Colorado, all the way up to 7'4" centers like Zach Edey from Purdue. And knowing the glaring need the Cavs have at the wing position, do they have to take a wing at number 20, or can they really go best player available? But because of the need at the specific position, and this is without knowing what they'll do with the future of their roster, the core forward, Garland, Evan, Jarrett, and Donovan, if those moves happen. Do they have to go with a wing?
Mike, you're talking about the 20th pick in what everybody considers the worst draft maybe ever in the history of the NBA.
I think that's the general consensus.
I mean, what are the odds, whatever position you take, that you're going to get? I mean, listen, anything's possible, but the odds they're going to get a player that's a valuable player at 20 in the worst draft ever seems so slim. I would not, that I'm not going to say, I got to take a wing player. I mean, how good is that wing player going to be?
Who are, and by the way,
who are the wing players, Mike, that are going to be any good?
I mean, and let's not act like Koby Altman is been hitting home runs.
Right, exactly. Like you trust him to get it right?
I mean, you drafted Isaac Okoro, and I mean, no disrespect. I mean, if Isaac Okoro was in this year's draft, would he be a number 1 pick?
He probably would be a top 5 pick.
He probably would.
No, in all honesty, he probably is a top 5 pick in the draft.
That's disrespectful. You say top 5. He should be by far the number 1 player on the board if he was progressing or had that type of game in his
Bull
bag.
asked real quick who could be an impact wing. Obviously, it's a crapshoot. You don't know. But one guy I particularly like, who I do think fits the Cavs, and he's being mocked in the range of the Cavs, anywhere from like 15 to 22, is Tristan Da Silva from Colorado. He's a 6'9" wing who can shoot, who when you watch Colorado play, he's just a connector. He just makes plays. He's not a guy that needs the ball. He's a guy that can facilitate if needed, can defend, can shoot, can rebound.
So he can do all these things. Why is he getting drafted so low?
Because he's 22 years old.
That's the reason?
Yeah. They don't draft older guys, or 21 years old. They don't draft upperclassmen that high, and he is not a young prospect. But I think he actually has a chance to come in and play pretty quickly.
That seems like a stupid reason. He's 21. He's not old.
He's 23, excuse me. He's 23.
Oh.
So he's an older guy, which means you may be getting the final product, essentially, when you draft him.
But
he's a guy I do think can step in and play. You take the list again, Steve. The other 4 guys on that list, Keyshawn George, Jacoby Walter, Johnny Furphy, and Garleton Carrington, they're all freshmen, by the way. These are one-and-done guys in the college ranks who offer probably more upside but less immediate impact. He's a guy, like I said, Da Silva's a guy I have found myself gravitating towards because I think the Cavs could use a plug-and-place guy in this scenario, especially with the skill set he brings. But I'd be shocked if they don't go wing. I understand that you may go best player available. If someone slips, there's 100 different reasons to draft the best player available, but they have such a hole at wing, and there's not a ton of free agent wings that make sense for this team at the price they could afford. So I really hope they go in the wing direction with this draft pick.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. If they're relying on getting the wing they need at the 20th pick in the worst ever NBA draft, that's like hoping that you're going to be rescued on a boat at the middle of the night and all you have is a Bic lighter. And you don't have a flare, or you don't have a radio, or that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot to ask. You're telling me that there isn't a better available free agent? The list of free agents it's incredible.
Well, they can afford. They have no cap space.
Hey, go over the tax. Done it before. We're talking about winning a championship. And by the way Boston has decimated everybody else they've played in the playoffs.
Talk to him.
Maybe we're not that far off.
Talk to him.
The best, G, real quick, I was going through this the other day, of like the realistic free agent targets, I think that makes sense for the Cavs, at the price, is Nick Batum. That ain't moving the needle for anybody.
No, that's not it either.
No, it's trade that they're going to have to get.
No, you've got to make a trade or you've got to sign a free agent.
I agree with that. Trust me.
Because this is a championship caliber roster. And like I bring up the Dallas-Boston thing because Boston has boat raced everybody they've played in the playoffs. They've lost 2 games in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they still beat the
Cleveland.
Cavs in 5.
They did, but Donovan Mitchell wasn't on the floor. Donovan Mitchell wasn't on the floor for the last game. Jarrett Allen wasn't on the
They
floor.
didn't have Porzingis. I'm not
I know
looking
they
too
didn't.
much
You're
into
right.
it.
That's very fair.
I just think the Cavs are at best the 5th team in the East, so they can't
I
just
don't know.
stand
I
still.
don't know that. I don't know that anymore. I don't. I mean, it looks
Oh.
like the East was Boston and then a bunch of teams.
I know. Listen, tell me a New York Knicks squad that come back.
If
with
they had
Julius
been
Randle.
healthy, that would have been. If the Knicks had been healthy, I think it would have been a better series with
The
Boston.
Knicks and the way that they play is different. Like, they play hard. Like, they play like defense. They got guards that beat you up. They beat you up. They got Jalen Brunson. They still got Julius Randle,
Right.
who's a second All-NBA team type caliber player.
And
Like,
Giannis and Embiid were both hurt this year,
That's
so
true.
I mean,
That's true. There were a lot of pieces. It really the runway for the Celtics to win another championship was huge.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
Halliburton got hurt in the series too.
That's right. Now they were without Porzingis until
And remember,
until last
Dallas
night.
wasn't Dallas down 2-0. Dallas was down 2-0 to.
Minnesota.
No, that was Denver.
Oh,
Dallas,
yeah, Denver was down 2-0
Okay.
Minnesota.
Dallas has
Dallas
lost
split
game
the
1 in their first 2 series, and they
Okay.
beat Minnesota in game
Yeah.
1.
So it was
you know what I
Houston lost
find? You know
first
what's so crazy is
Kyrie was
Is-
awful.
Boy, they
it-
neutralized Kyrie.
the way that these picks are devalued in the NBA. Like, the number 20th pick ain't worth nothing.
No.
Like, it ain't. You can't even put
Mike,
that with nothing.
Why is that? I feel, and this is just my opinion, that the college game evolving to what it's become has shredded the importance of the NBA draft, at least when it comes to American players.
See, that has been the case. I'm not sure it's because of that, but now with the new second apron of the luxury tax and the
Right.
draft picks are going to be more important than ever before.
They're going to be more important, but are you going to be able to build through the draft like you once could? I don't think you can.
I mean, it depends on your picks and if you hit. There's good players in every draft. It's just a matter of can you identify them. Like, there's never been a draft, even the worst drafts ever, have
Yeah.
guys who've come out of it.
But Koby Altman, what's his track record of identifying them?
That's a legitimate question, and it's not great.
0. And here's what I don't like. We got to get guys that can play. None of this pass, cut, screen away, and we like because you're tall. Pass, cut, screen away, and we like you because you can pass the ball on the weak side. That ain't going to win you nothing. When you watching these NBA Finals games, when you got Luka at the top of the screen doing what he doing at the top of the key, these kids that you're drafting, I mean, we taking the Luke Traverses of the world. And
Mike, I like that graphic that you put up there,
The
the
last 20 picks?
Yeah, but let me ask you this, because I don't follow it like you do. There's been hits at 21, 22, 23. Like, can you give us a list of difference makers that have been 20 or later in the NBA draft over the last 5 years?
I mean, if you take that graphic, Steve, Jalen Johnson's a really good player for the Hawks.
He is a good player. I wouldn't put him in a difference maker. I mean,
He was their second or third best player this year.
But again, Mike, we've made the point that I think this graphic is meaningless because how bad this draft is.
See, but actually, can I give you a spin zone on that real
Okay,
quick?
spin zone it.
And it could be terrible, and we have no idea. But because there's no consensus whatsoever on who the top 20 prospects are, literally, I've talked to 3 different guys across the league, and I'm like, who are your 3 favorite? And I got
is
9.
there consensus at the top of the draft
No,
at least?
none.
Not even the top 5?
There's like Alex Sarr, who's a guy who averaged, we talk about Bronny James averaging 4 points. This guy's going to get drafted first overall, probably, Alex Sarr. He averaged 9 points a game in the Australian Basketball League last year.
What's happened?
He's a defensive guy.
What the hell has happened?
But to Bo's point, real quick, then we get back to that.
What the hell's going on?
Because there's no consensus whatsoever, literally no consensus, you could get a guy you think's the 4th best player in the draft at 17 or 18 in this draft on your board. So, like, there's a chance that if you like a guy more than someone else, you could identify someone you think's a top 5 prospect who another team may have as the 32nd prospect. I
just
talked to
got
one of my buddies worked out someone, and I can't say the name, but he goes, this dude has enough talent to be a number 1 pick in this draft. And his mentals, he's not a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So, like, you're going to find a guy, depending on what a team likes and needs, that could go anywhere. So, in most years, 20, you're like, oh, we could probably get someone right out the lottery. in this particular year, you might get a guy you value as a top 5 pick just because the rest of the draft is so bad.
But you gotta also think about it, Mike. You know, there's other teams that are willing to play their younger guys. There's other teams that are willing to say, look, you know, Oklahoma City Thunder, right? They started off with all young guys, right? And by the way, in the draft they took your boy Darius Garland. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was taken after him, way after.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
SGA was like 3 years before, bro.
What round did they take him?
SGA was a
Oh,
2018
sorry.
draft.
I'm confused. That was the Colin Sexton draft. Sorry.
2018?
Colin Sexton
Yes,
draft.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah, it was Colin Sexton draft.
Sorry,
yeah,
Colin Sexton draft. I'm sorry about
SGA
that.
went 3 picks after Colin Sexton.
Yeah.
Wow.
God.
Oh my God.
Hurt my heart.
But you know what? You could nitpick post, you know, because we have the benefit of the results as we can make these discussions.
Well, we can, but that's his job. His job is to know that.
You're right. It's his
That
job.
hurt.
But let's face it, a lot of teams also missed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Michael Jordan famously
Hell,
wasn't
the
the number
Suns-
1 pick in his draft.
The Suns hired Luka Doncic's national team coach the year they had the number 1 pick and took DeAndre Ayton over Luka Doncic.
Which makes no sense whatsoever. It makes absolutely
sense.
no
As
sense.
good as Trae Young is, they took Trae Young ahead of Luka.
Well,
Yep.
no, Luka was picked first, but then they traded him to Dallas that night.
That's still a swap.
It's a terrible trade. Marvin Bagley was the 2nd pick in that draft.
Oh, and he's oh my
He's
gosh.
the worst of all of them. Yeah.
Well, you know, the NBA draft is a weird beast because you can go back to one of the most memorable drafts was the LeBron, Carmelo, Bosh, and they weren't the
Wade.
top 3.
It was, what's his name?
Darko Milicic
That's right.
snuck in there for Detroit.
Yeah.
And everybody, when they called his name, everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
Who?
By the way, Mike, I think was it you that said, like, people, when I said people have criticized the Cavs for taking Okoro, that there was no, like, if you look at some of the picks so Okoro went 5. That year between 8 and 12, you had Obi Toppin, Denny Avdija,
Advia.
Don't know who
whatever
it
you
is.
say his name, Devin Vassell, and Tyrese Halliburton all went
Oh,
within
it was a
7
bad pick.
picks.
I'm not saying it was a good pick.
I mean, what a disaster. How is Koby Altman still have his job?
I keep saying it.
What is happening here?
I just keep saying it. Like
I don't trust him to get it right.
He just keeps showing up to work, and they're like, okay, cool. Your ID still works. Your scan badge is still working.
Oh,
And
by the way, 21st in that draft, Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, my God.
You also had 30 Desmond Bain and 28 Jaden McDaniels.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Chalk that up. And, listen, Isaac, I love him to death. He's
By the way, you know who
human.
the Mr. Irrelevant of that draft was?
Who was it?
Sam
And
Merrill.
Merrill. Hey, geez, one thing on Okoro, then we'll switch up. My biggest
was relevant for a
frustration with
month.
the Cavs the last 2 or
weeks.
3 years, and it's Okoro and it's Mobley in particular. We have an idea of what they can do, but they have been pigeonholed into such specific roles. We're really not even sure, and that's on coaching as well. Like
Thank you.
Kobe, for better or worse, in this draft he missed. It wasn't a good pick with Okoro. And Evan Mobley is still TBD. His ceiling is we literally have no idea. He might be this or he might have way more. We just haven't seen enough. Or he hasn't been allowed to do enough. Like, they have to see what they have in these guys. And if that means you lose an extra regular season game or two because you let Isaac Okoro try to initiate offense, right now they're playing with like, swimmies in the pool.
Mike,
Like, you
at
got to
what
throw them in
point,
the deep end
though,
and see if they can swim
what
afloat.
is enough? At what point is enough? Like
He's
on
never
the
been
Evan Mobley argument, I keep hearing this. He's young. It's early. We haven't seen enough of him.
But you saw what he did versus Boston versus what it looked like in the regular season.
I
And it was
did.
two completely different schematic things.
He's
that we're
had
looking
moments where he looks like he will be that unicorn, but he's had way more moments where he looks like he won't.
This is it. It's got to happen this year.
It better happen.
at. That's
this
what I'm
year
saying.
because-
Like the kiddie pool,
Oh,
letting him have floaties.
he's
like,
too big for the kiddie pool at this
that's
point.
my point. Like this year, and I'm assuming it's this year. It should have been last year. Like it should have happened.
I
last-
wanted it to
I am
be-
not
yes,
saying
I
I'm
agree
not
with
giving him a
that.
pass. I'm just saying we can't change the past. We can only look at the future. You have really no idea what Isaac Okoro can do offensively. We have no idea if Evan Mobley's capable of being a focal point of the offense. And you
You
don't
feel
know
like
unless
wait,
you let
wait,
them try.
Mike. You
You
feel
have
like you
to
have-
let them fail.
You feel like you have no idea what Isaac Okoro can do? You think there's more upside for him?
I'm just saying that he hasn't been given the chance. Now, I don't think he has more, but maybe he does, and he just hasn't the chance. And if you don't give him the opportunity to at least,
what opportunity? How many shots do you want him to get?
I mean, more than just stand in the corner and shoot threes. Like, let's see if he has the ability to initiate offense, or if he's purely not. They have never asked him to do more than just that.
That's
so
why
it's unfair to
think
say, like,
we absolutely had to have a coaching change.
And it was a year too late.
I think it was, and for no other reason. Like, to me, when I look at what Max Strus was year to year,
completely different last year, this year,
and it was because of how we used him, and that's on the coach, and it can be on the GM because this question had to be asked before you brought Max in. Can he do here what he did there?
If he's playing in position, I think he could.
No, yeah, but see, that's not part of the question. The question is, can Max Strus Cleveland be Max Strus Miami? Because this is a puzzle. All these pieces have to intricately fit together. And the way he was used, he absolutely could not be Max Strus Miami because we didn't use him the way he was used in Miami. Can he be used that way here?
Think how silly it was. We talk about not fitting. You tried it out the whole season. A 6'1", 6'2" guard, another 6'1", 6'2" guard, and a bench roll guy who is 6'5" at best, guarding 6'9" wings.
No, that doesn't work.
That's your starting lineup?
Gee, that's why I said they got to draft a wing. That's my point.
And they gave him a bag of money.
Yeah, but if there's nobody any good, Mike, then
you got to add a wing. I don't know that you have to draft a wing. You have to add a wing. Clearly.
I like the De Silva kid. I think he can play. I really do.
You think he's a starter in the NBA?
What about, well, he's just a 7'4". Like, what is Edey going to be in the NBA?
I mean, he was a dominant college dude. He's better than I think he gets credit for because he's annoying and he's just giant and
he is annoying.
I'll draft him.
He says he can shoot. I have no idea.
I
he
draft
says he
him.
can.
Listen, I'm not these other 12.
I don't think he'll be there at 20.
I don't either. I think there's a smoke screen.
There's a chance he's a lottery pick. Like there's
somebody
a
will
legit
take him.
chance.
Somebody will want to
not
get
taking
that.
these other guys.
Two-time collegiate player of the year.
And the worst draft ever? Why not take him?
Lowest a two-time collegiate player of the year has ever been drafted.
Give me a sec. I'll see if I can find that.
I know that is very specific.
That's
I
a
asked
tricky
Mike
one.
some of the craziest questions,
Yeah.
and he always comes up with the answer.
I think it's Emeka Okafor from UConn, a two-time player of the year, and he had no offensive game.
No, I don't think he won it twice. Did he, Mike?
By the way, the meantime,
listen,
while Mike's looking for that, I got a bizarre.
The list of guys that have won it twice is going to be very small.
Zero. Almost.
I got a bizarre stat for you that I heard today. I found it bizarre, maybe because I started my career in upstate New York and like Syracuse basketball was so big.
Yeah.
I guess they haven't. I know they haven't been as good lately, but I think of Syracuse basketball traditionally as a powerhouse program, right?
Yeah. Now since Boeheim left,
Yeah.
I don't.
But
think
how
that-
about this? There's some. I don't even know his name. I can't even think of the name. But there's somebody in the finals, some backup player that is playing in the finals that went to Syracuse. I can't even think of who it is. But he was the first Syracuse player to play in the NBA finals in like 45 years. I would never have guessed that.
Wow.
They had
Now
some teams.
Boeheim he played a very specific
Right.
system.
He had a lot of players that were better college players than pro.
And you know what? Hurley might be doing the same thing at UConn.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, by the way, can I get my love for Hurley? Where's the Hurley? Can I get the confetti to come down? I told you that they should be looking at Hurley. And I told you that I love his systems and his sets. And I told you that, listen,
Yeah,
he
but Mike's
looked at
saying
it.
it's a terrible
I don't think it's going
thing.
to transition to the
I don't think it's
NBA
gonna
at
work.
all.
I love it.
I love it in the college game. I don't think it's going to work.
But they're
in
not
the
looking
NBA.
at him.
don't
But the
think so
Cavs
either.
are not looking at him.
But the Cavs should be looking at him. That's my thought process.
I got you.
The Lakers would. I'm sure the Cavs would.
Jay, I got your answer, by the way. The lowest a two-time National Player of the Year has ever been drafted was in 2021 when Luka Garza went 52nd overall.
Wow, I forgot
Garza.
about him.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
I
He's now-
totally.
Yeah, he's
forgot.
now on Minnesota. And there has been a couple more, but the most recent one was Garza. Before that was Jay Williams. Before Jay Williams, you got to go back to Michael Jordan. So it very infrequently happens when
Very
someone goes
because
back-to-back.
typically if they're that good, they're out.
Exactly.
They go.
So-
You remember who got drafted before Michael Jordan?
Yes,
Elijah
it was.
No.
no, it was the guy that broke his leg.
yeah, Sam Bowie.
Sam
Bowie.
Baba Booey.
Oh,
But
a
it was
horrible,
Hakeem
horrible.
Olajuwon was first, and then Sam Bowie was second. Paul,
Yep.
So don't say incorrect.
What's that?
By the way,
Hakeem was first in that draft.
Oh,
Sam
my
Bowie
bad.
was second.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right. Sam Bowie was
but
second.
Sam Bowie was nice in college, though. Like he was
His
nice.
second pick.
He was
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
You know
All right,
what I'm
guys, we
saying?
got one last topic, one last read that we got to get to.